the tone here of every nation for itself, and the president speaking last night about something that's not even a nation that we're fighting yet. Have we gone from G20 to G0 to G-2 or -3? Is that where we are, this 13th anniversary?
It is different. There's no question that when we think about the fight, we're going to be fighting ISIS through the Obama presidency, and yet it's not going to be on the headlines every day. Even other foreign policy issues are going to trump it, and it'll trump it frequently. It'll be the Iran talks coming up and whether or not they work out. It'll be Russia-Ukraine and the tensions and the war that's happening there. This is not going to be one of the reasons Obama doesn't want to call it a war is precisely because it doesn't have that level of priority. And yet, the American people responding to the media on ISIS and overwhelmingly saying, yes, this is a threat, and we think that there could be. There are ISIS terrorists. 70+% of Americans believe that there are ISIS-affiliated terrorists in the United States
Which
right
is
now.
Not true, right.
Which is not
the media.
The best of our notion. It's not true.
Is the media pushed the president into these actions?
Look, I think that 13 years after 9/11, we all do still remember it. And as much as New York is now resplendent and we're rebuilding and we're growing and real estate is crazy, we still all feel it. And I think that Americans at some level haven't gotten past 9/11. They haven't forgotten about it.
I want you to synthesize what we hear listen to on international relations. We have Fareed Zakaria talking about a post-American world. We have Richard Haas at the Council of Foreign Relations saying our foreign policy starts with economic strength in America. When you synthesize these different themes in, what is our Bremmer prescription forward to year 14 and year 44 after 9/11?
Oh, it's that we're focusing still much more domestically. There's no question. It's not that the Americans are leading from behind, but our allies are not as interested in providing the kind of support they have historically.
So the coalition will not be there, as the president mentioned last night?
Oh, there will be a coalition, but it's just on fighting ISIS. I mean, you know, Obama can work with Syria. Obama can work with the Republicans, but that doesn't mean they're allies. That means they have a very specific common goal. There's going to be a very broad coalition to remove ISIS from power over time. But that should not say nothing about the likelihood of America getting an Iran deal done. Well, say nothing about the idea of America working with Assad over
Scarlet,
time.
You mentioned this earlier this morning
yes,
on
because
Iran.
the Iran nuclear talks are beginning today once again. So that certainly raises a lot of questions about how effective those can possibly be with our attention divided.
No, when you guys have me back here in November, I assure you that the number one issue we're going to be talking about is not ISIS at that point. We're going to be talking about Iran, impact on the oil markets, and what happens if that deal falls apart. That's going to be the priority.
Are we having him back in November?
Yeah, we'll have him back in November.
Oh, okay.
And in October, too.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, given how much time we talk about foreign policy these days, you can come back just about any week. What we're really getting at is a coalition of the willing. My question to you, Anastasia Amoroso, strategist at JPMorgan. In the U.S., it's not a coalition of the willing. It's really a coalition of consumers. I mean, at the end of the day, we got American consumers who have more money, they're spending more money, but how healthy are they? What's your take?
I think the consumer is a lot healthier coming out of the last recession that we might have imagined. And there's a couple of data points we can look for that. Whether we look at the aggregate household net worth, you know, we're trillions of dollars above where we were in 2007. Whether we look at the unemployment rate, and I'm sure we can dispute the unemployment rate all day long, but the bottom line is we have created more jobs than we lost in the prior recession. So the consumer is in far better shape than we were in 2007, and arguably also better than in 2001 as well. Just the technology change alone, I think, has propelled so much of the net.
And is that healthier consumer supportive of a president who now seems to be leading us back into harm's way?
I think that Obama is still facing an enormous amount of concern. It's a lack of leadership issue. President Bush was considered a leader who didn't like to think. Obama is considered a thinker who doesn't like to lead. America wants both, and they don't have both. We'll see what happens in 2016, Democrat or Republican. But right now, that's a real question that continues to be pervasive, not just among people that ideologically can't stand Obama, but a lot of people that voted for him and think that, wow, it doesn't mean as much American power in the world as it used to. We need a leader that actually tells us where we're going. They don't feel like they're getting that from Obama.
Is all of our synthesis quickly, Dr. Bremmer, just about oil? We started this Bloomberg Surveillance with a chart on oil.
Right.
Are we still just doing this because of what we put in our cars?
No, not at all. The energy revolution, I think, makes that increasingly clear in the United States and more broadly. It's less about oil. One of the reasons the U.S.-Saudi relationship has deteriorated about as quickly as any other U.S. bilateral relationship in the world in the last 5 years is precisely because the focus of oil has changed. Long term, it's not clear to me I'd want to be betting an awful lot on countries that are really, where their future is linked to continuing to pull their own oil resources out of the ground.